Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fireside Chat. It is episode 11. We're having an amazing time, except we're not having an amazing time because the person to my right on the screen is dead.
Ooh, oh my God.
We're talking to a ghost. Ooh.
I'm terrible at this. Okay. My scream was so bad, but honestly, it made for a great time.
But that was like the whole point because the episode was so cheesy. I should have put the scream in the little recreation. Whatever.
You should have used my scream. You should have spliced it in there.
And then that would have made more sense. But yeah, this is the Fireside Chat where we recap all things totally dramatic survival games. Today, episode 11 of 13. We're almost at the end. Bless you. You're so fine. And today, our campers engage in an investigation of the death of Chef Michi, who's now been revived and joining me today. And I'm Edwin Michi. We're all barely alive. Gotta make that clear.
That's a good distinction.
Yeah, we're hanging on by a thread. But this was episode 11. We came down to it. We have a final 5. We have an alliance of 3, an alliance of 2, and this challenge was really do or die for both alliances.
Yeah, it was 100%.
Because we had on one side the majority, which obviously they have the numbers, they can dictate the vote. But on the other side, we had 2 people who had at this point 1 idol. Question mark. Yeah, this was the last idol. And
yeah, this was the last idol, but also we need to keep in mind that they didn't necessarily win it.
Well, right, exactly.
Because they were bequeathed the idols by Lauren.
Right. So, exactly. It was like they had a ghetto jail-free card, but it was for one of them. And so what makes the do or die-ness, I guess, if that's a term, of this challenge is that the winner is who gets to dictate the votes, essentially. Because if, let's say, for example, Edgy won, then the idol would be used by Gabe to save Gabe. And we already saw that Edgy, Pixel, and Nugs were planning on targeting Dylan. And then on the other side, if Gabe or Dylan won, the other would be saved by an idol, and they would get to take a free shot at the majority alliance and even the odds. So that is the case of this episode. Let's just dive right into it. How did it feel being dead?
Not pleasant?
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, at the beginning of the episode, you get brutally murdered by someone holding your bonk stick as you went.
I loved the dramatic
zoom in.
That was so good.
It was so great.
I giggled so hard when I saw it. I'm like, that was great.
Regardless of like maybe it wasn't a lack of intensity. It was more so a like. It was the lack of realness behind the situation. It still ended up turning out amazing because
it was great. Honestly, everyone dove in head first. They knew the bit and they stuck to the bit. Of course, I did get you can hear like a random clip of me giggling like I'm supposed to be dead.
Yeah, I know.
But because me and my beautiful ass forgot to put myself in not spectator mode, but to like mute myself on the actual Discord call, aside from muting myself in the game, which I have forgotten to mute myself in the game. Thank you. And I'm glad you didn't put that clip in because it was so embarrassing where Laura's like, Michi, shut up.
Yeah.
I was having fun looking at everybody look for the clues to try and figure out who done it. It was so much fun.
There was a part, because I mostly used the camper's point of view for the challenge. There was a part where we were both in spec on my point of view, spectator mode, and we were just talking, and like oh, they think this. Oh, they think that. Uh-oh, that's gonna move some things around. And it was so fun for us to watch on the sidelines. I think
Honestly, it was, especially because, with going into spectator mode and going in and under the map to look for the clues, including that hidden room that had one of
right.
the better clues. Um,
Yeah,
but
probably one of the most definitive, yeah.
yeah, I do have to say that I think we discussed this after the fact when we did the challenge. That I loved the idea of the books, but definitely next time, since this is like a branded board game here,
Right.
we should have a sheet, kind of like branded board game. Insert
Yep.
brand name. Not sponsored game board here.
You're right, exactly. Kind of like
a sheet to do the elimination deduction thingy, because I think that's where people kind of got stuck a little bit.
Right,
because
exactly.
they didn't have a piece of paper or a PDF or a
to
PNG.
easily go through that.
Easily go ahead and go through and like discard things, which is where they got confused as to the weapon and where it was.
Yeah, and we could always do this in more of a style that's more directly towards that board game where everyone gets a certain amount of cards. We'd have to figure that out, but definitely.
I mean, with cards, the problem is, which is probably what worked, which is what shows the differences between alliances here, is how Gabe was always checking in with them whenever they bumped into each other, and they were like, "No."
Yep.
But
which was great.
It was clear showing the divide between the groups,
right?
Because the majority alliance knew that they were being manipulated by the person who had her Squid Games moment.
Yep.
So they didn't want to they didn't want to jive with that because that was not their thing.
Right. It's such an interesting watch this episode because I think the only thing that we changed, which we already figured out how we would do it for next season, is everyone was so quiet. Because we're all, I know we've said this before, we're all ADHD folks in this game, whatever the grammar you want to use to describe that situation.
Definitely separate voice channels for those people who want to split up is the other thing we definitely need to work on. Because we had everybody in game chat, but in game chat, it's a little bit more complicated.
Right, exactly. I'm going to send a text really quick.
Nah, take your time. So that's another useful thing for the feedback.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think just having everyone talk a little bit more, because everyone wants to talk it out in their head.
Yeah, but it's also an individual challenge, so ultimately there is only one winner.
Right, exactly.
So there is a reason for why these people group together and still stay quiet, because they're also and trying to help each other out with their clues and trying to discard shit. They are trying to be the ultimate winner of this challenge as well.
Right, exactly. Because I think it seems like I think for a lot of the campers, it's like a group effort this season, like making sure that their alliance wins rather than the self. But I think it's moments like these where you realize, okay, everyone does have their own game. And I think we've just seen it more than ever that everyone's game was very closely aligned with how they wanted to play it. And I know it was for relationship purposes mostly, but everyone was playing their own game. And I think I think this episode kind of shows us that and sees where everyone is playing. So I definitely agree with that. Because
honestly, it was a good challenge, and it was a lot of fun to see how they got these things together. And there's not a lot to talk about the challenge itself because the challenge was pretty straightforward and there was no mini challenge to go into the maxi.
Yep.
So I have to say that I was a little surprised because I said, I think it's the thing that they didn't have a sheet where they could cross things off that really caused all of them to have at least one right or no right, except for the case of our winner, which was Gabe, who had 2.
Right, exactly.
So definitely in seeing this happen, we definitely were able to develop the proper feedback for if and when this challenge just comes back, because I'm not gonna tell you, but I have apparently a propensity to die. Happens a lot.
We just can't.
Everyone wants my bonk stick because they're jelly. My bonk stick brings all the gungers to the yard.
And damn right, it's hey. That's
my bonk stick is better than yours with knockback. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna quote that. I'm gonna quote that. Oh my god, Gunger. My bonk stick. Wait, my bonk stick is more Gunger than yours.
No, my bonk stick brings all the Gungers to the yard.
Oh yeah, my bonk stick. That's great. That's so amazing.
Because it's better than your stick with knockback. Yeah. Anyway. Point is, after we see Gabe do that, we definitely immediately head into Campfire Council and we get the votes read aloud yet again. Yep. And this is where
one likes my cookies.
I look, I want real cookies, not cookies.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I almost made a tweet earlier. This is unrelated. I was almost like, you're telling me a home made these cookies, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna tweet that.
No, nobody wanted my cakes. I slaved over those cakes.
True, you did. Those were all over the place, and I think we had to punch those out. But yeah, that's. Oh, now I want cookies. But yeah, Campfire Council. Oh, actually, I wanted to say one more thing. I think for this challenge, the other thing was, I think the clues we were presenting, some folks were overthinking. Because I think specifically with like there were CCTVs here, so that means that the person recognized that there were CCTVs, so it had to be in a location where there were CCTVs. I think it was like overstepping, like kind of rolling, rather than the clue was like the CCTVs didn't catch me, and that was supposed to eliminate all places with the CCTVs. So I think
there was a little bit of the wording in that clue that also didn't help them, which is why I felt like the knocking things out on a sheet is much better than them having it on a book.
I agree.
Because that's also where a lot of them got stuck, because a lot of them didn't get the location right.
Right. I think it was just one of those things where we were thinking how we want to make this like hard, but not too hard. And I think because another thing that ended up getting cut from the episode, I wonder who did that. Our editor, I'm totally not our editor. A lot of people were like, well, isn't a bow sharp? And I was like, no, technically it's not. It's a bow. And because there's the clue with
you had to make the distinction between the bow and the arrow.
Which no one really seemed to do. So we tried to be clever where we could, and then because we were clever in some areas, people were thinking we were trying to be clever in other areas, and so it was a little inconsistent, but I mean it worked out. With the explanation
It worked out.
Yeah, with the explanation we gave and like looking it back over, I would say it was like there. The answer was there, and you could have deducted to it if you thought long enough. But I think we were just being a little too clever, and that unfortunately led to some moments or some guesses. But I think Gabe was the only one to not hang too long on those clues, which really helped him.
No, he did take a lot at face value, because he was quick to discard anywhere where CCTV was gone. He knew that. Gone. Yeah, that was the one thing that stuck to him. Even without a chart, he knew immediately that was like where he got that one.
He was trusting his gut instinct, whereas I feel like everyone else was delving deeper and deeper into each clue, which I can appreciate. I'm not allowed to say clue. Copyright.
I mean, you are here because here was a clue.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And here it's an actual clue, not having to do anything with the not sponsored board game. Anyway.
Blue. But yeah, so that was a competition. Gabe wins. Campfire Council, we see what we expect. Gabe is safe because of his challenge win. The do or die does go to the smaller alliance, and Gabe uses his idol to save Dylan, which means both are safe, and all we know is that one member of the majority alliance is going out. and it is Edgy. Yep. So Edgy is the final 5 casualty, making it the final 4. Do you think? And I know I asked this last week. Do you think Edgy was the correct one to take out here?
I'm thinking, and I'm like, because they were the majority alliance and such. No.
Yeah. Oh, you don't think it was the right decision?
No.
Interesting.
I do not think so. Because Edgy has proven themselves to be like a formidable adversary, and we've discussed this multiple times. Yes, I said last week that definitely Felix was the right decision, but in this case, I don't think Edgy was the right decision. Because they basically glossed over consistencies that Pixel and Nugs had shown throughout the entire game, and they just kind of like, it's fine, whatever, right. Edgy. It's like, yeah, sure.
Right, exactly. I think Edgy was showing. I would say Edgy was the right choice because Edgy had. They were very consistent throughout the competition with top 2 placements in the first episode and the fetch game, being a strong competitor, being a driving voice in the majority alliance, had advantaged out Jacob, was doing very well resume-wise. So I do definitely think that they were the biggest threat at the time on the majority alliance. But you're right, because to the same degree, there's a whole other game that... And this is where we really see the distinction this episode. Because Edgy is playing a very loyal game. Loyal to a fault. And Pixel and Nugs are the same way. But they're a little bit more sneakier about it, where they're being consistent, but they're flying under the radar. And it's very commendable, because it's shown them to be, it's going to get them to the end. And here we are at the final 4, both of them still very much intact. And for all we know, they could be the final 2. So, I mean, we do know who the final 2 is. We won't spoil it here, but we're at the final 4.
All I know is that I remember texting you throughout the entirety of this finale while we were hearing the jury vote. Oh, spoiler! It's not us who picks!
Yeah, spoilers. Yeah, well, I don't know how I'm gonna explain that. We'll get into it on finale night when we go over the finale, but yeah, go. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Anyway, the point is, I remember, I think I've said that at least once or twice, or maybe a few times while we were in Fireside chat. The final 2 was unexpected, and it was the best possible outcome.
Yeah, no spoilers. I won't say anything. I think we all... I don't know. I think we all had a direction we wanted this season to go, but...
We all had our headcanons, but...
Yeah, all I'll say is expect the unexpected. So, yeah. I feel like going into this... into this top 4, you can clearly see why everyone got here. And I'm going to say there's one member of this top 4 that I think had the least commendable path. And that was basically...
I think we've discussed this.
Yes.
I don't know if on camera, but I know we've discussed
camera for
it.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think people... at this point, I think we discussed that players have noticed it.
Yeah. Basically absenteeing your way to the final 4 is not...
Because someone else substituted for you.
It's not a commendable strategy. But, I mean, it works. And with no ill will towards this person whatsoever at all. Of course.
No. Definitely not.
Because he was busy and he was saying... He told us, like, episode 6, he was like, hey, I might not be able to make it for a lot of the episodes. So we knew that this was going to happen. But gameplay-wise, of everyone who's in the Final 4, it just so happens that Dylan was the person who put in the least work. And that's simply just because he was absent a lot of the time. So,
yeah.
With that being said, our final four is Gabe, Pixel, Nugs, and Dylan.
The alliances are tied.
Mm-hmm. I would not have expected, if I were to expect a final four, it was either going to be this one or it was going to be Lauren, someone else, Edgy, and Felix. And we're at this one. Also, I'm receiving a call because my mom is frustrating me. Everyone at home who is watching this Fireside chat, tell your mother that she can wait.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any final comments about TDSG? Next week's episode 12. 2 more episodes.
2 more episodes.
Okay.
Just get yourself ready.
Yep.
Strap in.
Next week we got some for our last major challenge. We have some PvP, which everyone has been expecting and waiting for. So Be there next Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern time, where we'll be. Stop texting me for a second. Sorry. Next Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
TDSG episode 12. It is some PvP. Be here for that, and then join us next Wednesday at noon Eastern time, where Michi and I will be back here for the Fireside chat, recapping episode 12.
Y'all ain't ready.
Y'all are not ready. Have a good one, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.